Okay, so the purpose of the meeting is bridging the teams between dev and UI. And like I was saying, we made a lot of progress now where we can really start implementing real like features instead of just trying to match up with like the old spreadsheet thing. So I guess quick, and then so that's the intention. I would like to focus on two aspects of the UI. There's because we have like my understanding is like the inside where like the annotations is happening is like pretty straightforward, but the aspect beforehand, which is like I think Maya manages it mostly, is like the user tasking, how people are assigned to things and how they get their spreadsheets and whatnot. So I would like to learn more about that. And then on the other end, the analysis of the important changes and the repeated changes, like what steps you guys kind of go through once you have those listing of things, like how to use that, like how do you, just manage it and organize it. So those are like the two things I would like to focus on. Yeah.
Sorry, you're frozen, Kevin, by the way. Kind
Oh,
of cool.
could you guys hear anything that I said?
I heard everything, actually.
Oh, okay.
But now you're
Yeah,
good.
well, it's just my face. You don't need, you don't need to see
I want to see all the emotions. I just want to go back. I guess this is, back to a roadmap that was from like months ago. So it's totally cool if you think it's changed. But I think the tasking actually, like I guess, and this is back to when I was like mocking things up and stuff. I guess I was thinking back then that we'd sort of separate out the sort of like admin side of the UI from the actual user side of the UI. And that maybe we actually want a running version of the user side, especially as we like try to onboard more people. Because the tasking, I think, while it's a little bit irritating, especially when you have it working like you set it up, which is very cool, where it's actually reading in from spreadsheets, it's not so bad, I guess, on that. Like, it's definitely something we want to move towards, and we want there to be an admin side, but maybe like a working UI for the user makes sense to move towards first. That's all.
Well, that's a good segue then, because I was going to ask for like functional feedback, like if people like try to use it at all, and like what they've like any type of feedback they have for the current. So there's two kind of UIs right now. There's like the Google Spreadsheets one where it's just kind of like version 0, just to kind of match up with what's happening, and then there's the more React based one that Rob built. So if has anybody any feedback would be great right now. About it. Has anybody used it or at all?
I have not used it, but maybe we can take a look at it right now.
Okay.
This is the Heroku app one?
Yeah.
I played with
the link for it.
I'll say playing with both of them. Yeah, I mean yours is really nice.
Okay.
I do think that fundamentally, until it lives in the UI, which will take some work, we'll actually need to have things coming in from our own databases, probably, and we'll need to write that diffing service. I feel like it's probably not like, it almost might not be user-friendly enough to actually move to it, because you still have to switch between screens and things, which is still like, has a lot of the nuisance features of the spreadsheet. So it's like, it's kind of, I would leave that to the sort of a group decision almost, but I would guess that it would still be like, moving back and forth would make that potentially irritating. So I'm not sure how other people would.
When you say the moving, you mean like the linking out to Versionista?
Yeah.
By moving back and forth. Yeah. I guess.
It's really nice though, so it's hard to say. Like, it depends on, it'd be weighing the like cost of switching systems to the benefit.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, so like the real version that like everything's going to be based off of now, it already talks to the DB, so all the good scripting information. The point that I wanted to ask about the user management is because now we have to figure out like what we should be showing, like when a person logs in, what they should be like able to see right immediately. That's why that's the question, because we can there's just like a huge dump in the DB, but we got to filter it out like correctly so that when the person logs in, like, okay, they see only the sites that they need to see. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. And then So the diffing it should be happening soon. Brendan wrote like a quick diffing service, and then Rob is created a PR where he was able to incorporate like an API to talk to different services. So that should be happening soon, like a very basic like text diff, and that would be directly in the UI as well. So I think we're moving to where you want it to be. So there wouldn't be a lot of that context switching, but I guess because so much information is held in Versionista right now, it's hard to just like, jump away from it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. The question would just be like, would we wait to actually do the switch until that exists, and then that sort of just change the calculation about what to prioritize, maybe.
Personally, I feel like they can both be in the UI at the same time. Like I said, I think we can start incorporating diffs pretty soon, at least like the simple service that Brendan wrote, and then additional services will start to be added. But just like that one diff service is not enough, and they would still need to use Versionista. And then as diff services are created, hopefully like more during the sprint this weekend, if those become more useful, then we can just get rid of the links to Versionista and people don't have to go there anymore.
Yeah, I guess in terms of like ease of usability, like it totally makes sense that you would be building up the diffing services that you're writing sort of piece by piece as they're coming online. But I almost wonder if it's not worth it to put those into the user side of the API until it can completely replace Versionista, because like in this world right now, and if I'm misunderstanding this, let me know, but it seems like there's a text diff that could show up in the API, but then for anything else, or if that's like sort of, if that were done, then you could have a text diff that would show up in the API. But for anything like for the source code, for anything like that, you would still have to go to Versionista. So you're still having to switch between two views. And I think like then it's almost like, well, why even look at the text diff in the API? Because you have the exact same information in Versionista. And so until you essentially eliminate the need to go to Versionista at all, which I think is what Andrew was trying to say. Maybe I'm just repeating what you said and I like spaced out on that. But I almost think it would be more confusing for people to have to look at the same information in two places rather than just making a complete switchover. And that like, then you could have something in like beta mode or something where like Andrew, Tully, and me could be looking at stuff where we're like comparing the text diffs or something where people like are making sure that the diffs are actually the same as preparation for moving over to the switch. But I think having both at the same time would probably be confusing and not super useful.
Yeah. Well, I guess I mentioned that just because like how Andrew, he didn't want, there's that context switching of just using Versionista to begin with. So I'm sorry, Andrew, like, because you had that concern and I wasn't sure what you wanted to wait for before we move away from Versionista, but like, it seems we're kind of stuck with it for time being, just for a little bit longer. If that makes sense.
I think I agree with Maya. I think we don't want to do a piece, I think, without doing enough to be able to not use Versionista.
Okay.
I mean, I think probably everyone will be in agreement on that. Yeah, I guess not to say like this isn't awesome. Like I really do think it like looks like almost perfect, and it's just like it's frustrating that the diff will take a little while. But I do think that like we should imagine. I know as much as you were like horrified by the spreadsheets, and I think we all still sort of should be, that it is sort of in a stable place. Actually, like, so we should consider it stable enough, I would say. And I mean, there's a balance. So, and I do think Maya should probably like be the person who kind of like determines this basically. But given the stability of it, I just think we should weigh any switch like against like losing a pretty stable thing. So we'll definitely switch to like hopefully quite soon. It's just a question of when we switch. There's no doubt that we will switch. Yeah.
Well, that's what so the V0, the Google version, is, now that I rewatched the training video, there's some things that I misunderstood, but it's pretty much on parity with the spreadsheet workflow, I believe. And that's why I really need people to like try to use it and then like give us feedback, because we haven't received any yet. And everybody's busy, so like I don't blame anybody. But from what I've been able to gather, it's pretty on parity with the spreadsheet workflow. And so now it's just like improving that, like moving, like improving it so that like we're not like hemmed in by just this, like what we're doing with the spreadsheets, like actually like making it more useful. One example that I'll give is like, so the important changes, they go into a separate spreadsheet and you have like this whole different view and it's just like a giant list of things that you're looking at. With the DB, we can actually like annotate things so that you can just pull certain changes like people haven't looked at yet and haven't been analyzed. So it's like a smaller subset of information that you're looking at. So that's like, we can show like all the stuff in this, everything's happening in the spreadsheet, but I want to like begin to think about how we can improve things already. So yeah.
Yeah, I would actually say probably what's already possible is to use the UI to look at significant changes.
Yeah.
Because actually, like, that's not something. So yeah, so I should say I'm also balancing like what the analysts are doing and what like mostly it's more totally in Maya, but mostly like we're doing on the sort of more admin side. Because I think the stable product that the analysts use, they just don't put a lot of time. They're just volunteers really. So like they're only working 5 hours a week in some cases. So converting them over to a new system would take a while, and we might actually like lose people. But some of them will be excited about it. I think on the other hand, the admin side, which is what the significant changes really are, like we could probably pilot that like already, because I think at least the three of us would be really excited to do that, and as you said, it allows for like a much easier interface as opposed to like 1,000 things.
Yeah.
So maybe that makes sense, right? Like maybe it makes sense to start with that actually, even though it's in one sense not as crucial, because it'll give us a feel for just like how does playing with the UI in this kind of list form work. I don't know what Maya and Tully think of that.
I'll just say, well, one thing is that right now the workflow is that the analysts themselves like copy over rows into the significant changes spreadsheet, and then from there, really it's been Maya, but in principle it could be me as well. Looks through the significant changes and then like checks off to really confirm that they are significant, and even moves it to a third spreadsheet, although with kind of like a nice like UI and DB that you all have, it could just be sort of like a check box and like a better classification system. So yeah, and just to say that the analysts have like a very cursory, sorry about that, it's probably loud. The analysts do a very cursory classification, and then the next round is a bit, well, we're intending for it to be a bit more advanced and detailed.
So that's the part I was talking about. Yeah. That's the part that can go. The move from the second to the third spreadsheet and the annotation that goes along with that. Yeah. That actually, I think we could already start doing in the UI. Yeah. That would make a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about that now. I mean, I don't know how much like nitty gritty we want to get into like watching Maya like do a process. I kind of want to do that because it'd be like these, like I'm saying, like both these parts, the before and the end part, like I never do it. Like only you guys, like the 2-3 people do it, and it's never been documented. So like I want to understand the pain points and try to like just fix it.
Yeah, and I will say I don't mean for the suggestion to be like a non sequitur. The process is actually very similar. Yeah. So it would use the same UI. So I'm not saying like design something new. I'm saying actually with exactly what's there. Even with the click out to Versionista, but with exactly what's there already, it would actually be very natural to use basically the same UI for that step.
And it'll be easier for us, just like the two of us, to give you feedback than like switching a whole team of analysts and then trying to get, basically to converge a bit more before we introduce it to the whole team.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
If we do want to, get into nitty gritty, is that something we want to do now? Like just things about the record view that might be.
Just muted.
Sorry, I'm fidgeting. When you click in, is that something we want to talk about, or?
I I think we should. Yeah, because like that's the focus. Those are the two main topics. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess then in that case, there are sort of two things that stuck out as things that might be good to, or would be good to add. The first thing is we are categorizing things in terms of, we have these drop down menus for categories for, I think, keyword and then broad topic.
Can you share the spreadsheet? It'd be
So
easier.
let me share my screen maybe. Does
Yeah.
that?
Sorry, and Kevin, I should say this is an update since those mock-ups. So I probably should have updated.
Yeah, if these things can just like a copy could be shared, so I'm not like messing with anything, but just so I know what fields to work with and stuff. Yeah, because one of the misconceptions I had was that everything was separate spreadsheets, but they're really just sheets inside like a single spreadsheet. So then the mockup or the UI that I created doesn't account for that. But yeah, if as much things shared as possible with data that I can just use is great.
Yeah, and I should say to that point specifically that in the mock-ups, if you go back to them, there's sort of this, I made this like dashboard view or something suggestion, and then in that you might, because you were asking like how would we deal with the multiple sheets. I think something like that, if the DB reads in, so when the DB is read into the user interface, it's read in by domains, and then on this dashboard, the user sees the 7 domains they're responsible for. Then for each of those, they click into a list view, but it's only for that. That would be sort of the analog maybe to the current the current process.
So the current process is still very similar. It's like the same that was shown in the training video. It's where it's like there's just like a drop, like an automated thing drops all these different spreadsheets into a folder. Like the 96, is that still the same? Like the 96-hour folder or whatever, and then they go in themselves and look at V1 or V2, and then they pull out their own and put it, aggregate it in single spreadsheet. Okay, that's actually accomplishable in the UI. Like we could definitely, that's why like the user management thing that I was talking about at the beginning, that's like, if we can do assigning either through the UI or just through a spreadsheet, because we have the code to work with spreadsheets, where, the user can go in and say, these are my sites. And then when they log into the UI, it will just show, those are my sites. I think that's a good feature to add. I'll add that to the goals. Yeah.
I do think at the end it probably will end up just being the admin to do it. So maybe it could be that either side can assign, because at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know how often it is, but Maya, right? There's like pretty regular shifting of domains. And if that's done by the central person, such that when the user just jumps in, they just see their domains, that'd probably be the best like at the end. But along the way, it can probably go either way.
The first one with the central figure is easy, or will be accomplishable for sure. Yeah, and I agree with that. Sites. Okay. And Maya, you were going to show us something. Oh, Jay,
can I just add something here? So, I mean, I don't know if you guys know about this, but the developers working on the processing part, for that matter, are trying to sort of move away from versionista. And I mean, right now we are sort of focusing on page freezer, because from what Dan told me, page freezer sort of gives us freedom in how we compute the differences and sort of store them and view the source code of how they are, how the things work. And though it's still in the development phase, I think that's the direction we're going in. So that might help in directly putting the differences in the UI and not sort of confusing between two places. So just an update, I'd say.
So the DB side is well aware, and so like the way that import sources, it can come from any source, and we are taking into account that because versionista is still like the data is still going to be like archival, is still there, but then it'll all exist in the DB, and then that's where we're going to pull it from. And then going forward, like I was saying at the beginning, is like we're creating the diffing services, and page trees from processing is probably going to be one of them, and then incorporating those. So yeah, I think we'll be fine.
So that there should be pretty much complete modularity pulling in from the DB, right? Like the interface, I guess, shouldn't know if it's coming from some Internet Archive record, some page freezer record.
It will have the metadata, so that the person, like, if they want to go check it in on it, like they can go where they need to. But yeah, it doesn't care. It'll draw it from anywhere. Yeah.
it'll have link backs or something. It'll be able to tell you. It won't lose that information, but an analyst shouldn't necessarily know or care unless they have some special reason to.
Yeah.
Like, is maybe the right way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then Maya, you were gonna share us something. I forgot already.
Yeah, one sec. Let me share my screen. Where's the? Okay, did that go through?
Yes.
Okay, so basically we have this is the important changes sheet, but we have new categories, I guess, that we're associating with each change.
So then this is different from what I knew. There's not an important results like spreadsheet anymore with like different tabs for the dictionary and whatnot now? Is it you're just working out of a completely separate spreadsheet for important changes, or this that we're looking at right now?
It's the same. It's just there's really just more columns. Nothing's really changed other than the addition of some category columns. So in theory, they would just be like some more checkboxes.
Yeah.
From a UX perspective, we should think about it, but from the functional perspective, it's just more.
Yeah. Oh no, what I was saying, like in the video, there's like a important results spreadsheet, like and then there was different like sheets in it. One was important changes, one was the dictionary, but now it looks like important changes has been pulled out into its whole own separate spreadsheet, right? Okay.
And I think the dictionary is also a spreadsheet.
A whole completely different spreadsheet. Oh, okay. And if that's the case, then like the V0 looks great.
Right, yeah, because you can just paste in. I think we separated those spreadsheets probably. I think that was a while ago.
Sorry, that's why I was confused. I think those might have always been separated, but anyway.
Yeah. So just like having the space for these guys, which I don't think is a big thing to add, but it's just one thing to have like a drop-down menu basically where you can then add these broad topics and keywords, and to have that appear in the admin area where, so for admins, it would be great if you could just like go in and add broad topics and keywords. And then for users, if you could suggest additional broad topics and keywords to have them like go to a list somewhere that then like somebody can decide to add those. And I don't know if this is getting too far into details.
Are these used to categorize like each change or like how are these used? So so like when they look at a particular like version change and then they'd be like, well,
then later ideally you could use them to say like, I want to see all of the important changes that have this particular tag, like the climate change tag, or I want to see all of the one, and then just like use those to start grouping changes.
Okay. And so there's the broad, what's the keyword? What is that?
That's also, it's another sort of like, you should be able to have, I guess, multiple keywords and multiple broad topics per thing. And it's just, again, another like drop down menu with.
Oh, well, the question I'm asking is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is how we're doing things now. But we actually, I think it makes sense. And essentially we made an effort to try to characterize like, patterns and themes that we're seeing across many pages, and we have a more sophisticated, a more kind of detailed categorization system that is like 20 or something like that, 20 categories, and I think it makes sense to build out actually that part of the have the UI match something like the way we're categorizing these things. And it includes like a little bit of the broad topic and keyword, but it actually spreads it out into better categories like, energy policy, climate, and the three broad categories are like the page content, the change content, and the type of change, meaning like link removal or image removal, something like that. Everyone can see you're talking to Rob. Hey, Rob.
I'm telling him that we are meeting because he pinged about Kevin having a list of questions, and so I just want to let him know that I'm going to bring those up at the meeting and bring the notes there.
Sounds good. I didn't want anything embarrassing to happen on video. I don't know. Maybe you can pull up the the patterns and themes sheet, or if we don't want to waste kind of like everyone's time, I'm happy to sit down with Kevin and kind of go through it in more detail. But I don't know, Andrew and Maya, what do you think of like actually having the UI implement that part of the classification that we can then apply for all of the important changes?
Is that classification also just per change that so it'd be kind of like 3 different drop downs where it's like broad topic, keyword, and classification?
What do you mean by change? Do you
like the like one versionista version? Is that how where is that classification applied?
Two snapshots. So the way we
between 2 snapshots.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just because I want to be clear, because sometimes we talk about change as like a change in a sentence or something, but we're talking about the whole. Yeah. The whole div.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. I mean, in theory, we're just talking about. It's like, again, it's going to be pretty crazy on like a UX sort of thinking, but we're talking about like another row of like 20 checkboxes. It's actually not drop down. So it's basically taking what Maya was just showing you, but then realizing that like, since we want people to be able to categorize in multiple things, pulled out and just made another, like in the spreadsheet, which we can show you, it's literally just like 20 columns.
Yeah.
Categorized. So it's not the nicest thing to use, but in theory, I don't know that it would change much other than add another row of checkboxes. So.
Okay. No problem. Okay.
Well, I just don't know. I mean, from the design of the UI perspective, I guess unless we wanted to change everything around to accommodate that, I don't think it would necessarily change much about sort of how you're thinking, Kevin. But I could be wrong.
Before we get cut off, we should switch Zoom meetings because this one will expire in like 5 minutes. So I'll just drop a new link on that thread.
Yeah. Should we just switch right now? Or as soon as you,
Oh, it's not bad. Okay, I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Did you copy it?
Nice.